in the fire. Won't learn my lesson till I let it burn, but never lose my desire. Had it from the moment that I felt my first love. I knew I'd never get enough of you. I'll take the risk like I'm bulletproof. Shots in my heart, but it pleads the truth. A part of every little thing I do, like a tattoo. Just like a tattoo. I'll always have you. Like a tattoo. Just like a tattoo. I'll always have you. My inhibitions fade away. Can't think with my head, my gut won't let me change. Try to deny, but you beg me to take. If I end as a loser, it'd be worth the game. Cause I can never get enough of you. I'll take the risk like I'm bulletproof. Always on my heart like a tattoo. A part of
Welcome, Black Dagger fans, Black Dagger Brotherhood fans, Black Dagger, Dark Lover fans. This has definitely been an amazing season finale episode, and I just want to recap this thing for you guys. I'm gonna try to go, through each little moment that occurred during the episode. And we just gonna get into it and talk about it because this episode was, in my words, all things ruthless. And so the description of this episode was as follows. Raph learns of a murder plot against him. Mr. X kidnaps Beth. Raph rallies the Brotherhood and Butch for a rescue mission. As night falls, blood begins, y'all. The battle begins. The battle begins on the Black Dagger Brotherhood. So when we first see it, we kind of reminisced on that very last moment where we saw that Thaddeus had agreed, or so we thought he had agreed with Havers to unalive Rast. However, we're going to find out a little bit later that that wasn't the case. Thankfully for his sake. But Raph and Beth are now married. He's her Helen, and she's his Shellen, his Leland, his wife. They are now husband and wife. They have a moment, they're trying to have a moment of intimacy, but then Torment comes to the door and he says, he tells them about what he heard Zadis as well as Havers talk about at Screamers. Now, we didn't really get to see the whole story, and I'm going to get to, because we thought, oh, wow, Zadis is about to unalive Wrath or attempt to unalive Wrath. Oh, my gosh, the ultimate betrayal. How can he betray his king in such a manner? However, we're going to find out that that was something totally different. And at this very moment, Raph tells Torment that he is going to basically be stepping up. He's going to become the king, and that basically he wants Torment to be in charge of the Brotherhood. And so, of course, Torment accepts it, and because he's excited or he's grateful that Raph is now about to really fully step into his role as the king. And so we are here at the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Yes, he is standing there literally with no clothes because he's trying to stop Beth from walking out of the room. But Beth is like, I'm hungry. I want to go. And if something happens, then I will come right back. So she goes upstairs and she tests it because keep in mind, y'all, she's a vampire and she could get burned up if any of that sun, happens to touch her skin. Raph can't do this. What Beth is about to do, Raph can't step out of the room. If any form of sunlight hit him, it will literally burn him. So she steps out of the room and goes up into the living room. She kind of starts it off by sticking her hand out just a little, just to see if there's any kind of reaction. And then she goes full on because she sees there's no reaction, and she opens up the window. She opens up the curtains, and the sun is literally beaming down on her, and there's no reaction to her, newfound life as a vampire. So, then we're down back in the dungeon where Raph is, and he receives that phone call from Zeta, and Zeta tells him, "Hey, Havers offered me a lot of money, like over $1 million, to unalive you." And so Raph says that he already knows, but he's thinking, that Zeta is actually going to try to carry out what he has been requested to do. However, Zeta is just saying, I heard that there was a meeting and I wasn't called to the meeting. So, I just want everybody to stop treating me like a dog. And, that's how he's just been feeling. I wish they would have gotten into more why he feels this way, but they didn't this season, maybe next season. And so, after that, Beth comes back downstairs. She asks Ralph, does he need anything? And he's saying, I don't want you to leave. I just miss you so much. I just love you so much that if anything were to happen to you, I don't know what I would be able to do with myself. And so then Beth she goes back upstairs, and Ralph receives another phone call from Fury. And Fury is telling him, hey, no, my brother, I don't think my brother was trying to, unalive you. If he was trying to do that, he wouldn't have called you. And so he says, okay, Ralph says, well, bring your brother to the meeting tonight, and we'll discuss it. But keep him close, watch him closely, because at this point, Ralph is ready to basically take Vedas out of there. He's really basically ready and prepared to unalive Vedas, no matter what. But thankfully, because he told Fury, he was like, you would shoot your own leg off to save your brother, which is what he did, which is what we find out why Fury has basically a false leg. Okay. So then we see Beth, and she's downstairs. She has found her a nice, good sandwich to eat, and then she looks out of the window, and at the same time, Raph is kind of in tune with what is going on with Beth. So he hears that something is not quite right, and at the window, we see Mr. X with one of his little dart guns that he normally carries, and he gets into the house and pops Beth in her bag. Basically, I think it's like ketamine or something like that that's in those darts. And she ends up going down, and he ends up taking Beth up out of the house. Ralph tries to go upstairs, but because the windows are open, he can't go up there. The sunlight is just burning his skin way too much. Now, one thing I did learn about lessons, the reason why the lessons are able to walk around the way that they do, they have basically committed their life to the Omega. They have given their soul to the Omega. And so they are humans who have traded their souls to the Omega for free reign and terror. And that is why the lessons are able to walk around the way that they are, and the Brotherhood or the other vampires are not able to do so. So, like I said, Raph is getting burned, literally burnt, trying to save Beth, but he decides to run back down into the dungeon area where he lives, the basement we call it. But he runs back down there, and he gets on the phone, and he calls Butch and tells Butch to go try to catch the van that was there that took his wifey, that took Beth. And so, of course, we see him, Mr. X, and he's just riding out like it's nothing. We see Beth, and she is in the back of his van. Unfortunately, she still has that dart in her shoulder. And Butch runs. He tries to run to try to catch up with the van, but it's just too late. It's the van is just too far gone. And of course, we see where Wrath, he literally screams because this man has taken his wife, his Leland. He has taken his love away from him. And Wrath is not happy with that. So Wrath calls, he gets on the phone and talks to Butch and tells him, you need to find out who's in the van and track down some information so we can find Beth because he has taken Beth. And so he talks, Butch goes and speaks with Vicious, and Vicious tells him that, hey, this guy is not just a regular vampire, like, or a regular guy, or regular human. You have to actually take a different type of bullet to take him out, and you gotta basically shoot him center mass. You can't just pop him with a regular bullet. And so he takes the bullet, the gun, the blicky, and he's up out of there. And he tells them, just aim true, and he says a little prayer. May this human aim true. And so Butch walks out of there, but then we see Marissa, and Marissa is stuck in her bedroom, and she's trying to figure out, why is it that I can't get out of my bedroom? Well, on the other side, Harris is sitting on the floor, and he is emotional because he has just done something ridiculously crazy. He doesn't want Beth or Marissa to go to Raph's home or go over to where Raph is because he's always making her sad. Well, Marissa tells him, look, I'm not sad about Raph anymore. I found me a human. I found me someone that I like, and I think he likes me. And you need to just let me out so I can go and see him. Well, then Harris tells her, I don't think it's a good idea because I have made a terrible mistake. And the terrible mistake that he has made is the fact that he has basically put out a hit on Wrath. He has assigned someone to unalive Wrath. And, if she goes over there, she'll be basically in the crossfire of all of the shenanigans. Well, we find out because Vader actually speaks with Wrath, and he tells them, hey, this is what actually happened. He approached me about unaliving you, and I said no. He offered me over $1 million, and I said no, that I would not unalive you. But I would unalive him before I would do anything to any of my brothers. And so this is when we find out that Havers ends up speaking to Mr. X, and Mr. X agrees to take the life of Raph. So Harris has made a major, major mistake, and he better hope at the end of the night that he still has his life. But then we see Beth, and she's laid out on the table, and she gets a slap by Billy Riddle, who has literally traded his soul to the Omega. And now we find out what goes in those jars. The blood and the soul of a regular human goes into the jars that, if you can remember, Mr. X asked Billy Riddle to bring his own jar. And that's what actually went into that jar. So now he's literally a walking unalive person. But he slaps Beth, and Mr. X reminds him, hey, you're no longer into the taking it game. So, calm down, calm down and get ready because we're about to face a whole lot of danger. So Raph is finally found out, where Beth is. It's getting dark time. Butch says there wasn't a whole lot of information. He said that there was a house that he did have an address to, but he went to that home and no one was actually there. So now it's nighttime, and Ralph is ready. He's getting ready to take things into his own hands. And all you hear is some trembling, some shaking, almost as if there's an earthquake on the outside. The little material that's on the table starts rattling. And next thing you know, Ralph comes in like a bat out of hell, literally. He comes in with a big old scream, and he literally knocks that door clean off. and he goes in and he gets into a fight with Billy Riddle. He also they're double teaming him. Mr. X is double teaming him with Billy Riddle. Billy Riddle stabs Raph in the back with just a regular knife, and the altercation keeps going and going. But before he could, then Raph ends up popping Mr. X in the head with one of those bullets. But before he could actually unalive Billy Riddle, Billy Riddle ends up putting shooting Raph with a shotgun. And in that shotgun was a silver bullet. And now Raph is literally laid out. So we see they call for the dogs to come, and Wrath remembers a saying, because the dogs are literally biting on Wrath and they're biting on Beth's leg, and Wrath remembers the saying that two guards, basically two guards with nothing to lose, will actually fight each other. And so he ends up making it to throwing the dogs toward each other, and they end up fighting each other. This was something that Vicious told him a while back about the two guards. And so after that moment, the dogs are literally fighting each other. And like I said, Ralph takes literally a big chunk out of the neck of Billy Riddle. So Billy Riddle is up out of there, but we don't know if Mr. X actually is unalive. We do know he got a pop in his head, but that's about it. So now that Wrath has been popped by basically a silver bullet, he is literally unaliving. He's transitioning right before our eyes. So Beth gets on the phone and she calls Butch, but Butch is in the vehicle with Vicious. Now Beth doesn't know exactly where they are. So thankfully, Ralph is able to tell them like Route 21 and house with the blue truck on the outside. Like he's able to at least give that much information before he passes out. Then once he actually passes out, Vicious tells Beth, "You need to cut your arm and put it in his mouth. That way some of the blood can go down to the back of his throat." And she's thinking that I'm gonna do it. She does it, but she doesn't think that it's working. So in the midst of that, a dog charges at Beth, and she takes the knife, the dagger, and pokes it into one of the dogs, the last dog that was living and that was charging her. She pokes it into the dog, so the dog is up out of there. So then we see where Beth sees she's trying to do everything that she can. Finally, Butch as well as Vicious come into the room, and Butch says, "Let me talk to her first." And so she hears his voice, and then it's almost as if she kind of snapped it back to a reality, and she's they're trying to figure this whole thing out. And then all of a sudden, Marissa as well as Harris show up. Now, how they knew where they were, I don't know, but some kind of way they made their way there. And so they tell Marissa to basically give Raph her blood, because right now Beth's blood is not strong enough, and Beth is okay with it. She says, "I don't care whose blood it is, just as long as my man is okay." And so Marissa does just that. She gives the blood to Raph, and she has to literally hold her hand there all the way to the hospital, to the hospital that is run by Havers. Now, outside of this hospital room, everybody is big mad at Havers, because they know that Havers is the one that tried to put out the hit, or not tried to, but actually put out the hit on Wrath. And so Torment is like choking him up, saying, "We're gonna keep you alive until Raph is alive, and then if Raph dies, you're up out of there too. But we're gonna keep you alive so that you can take care of him, and afterwards we'll decide your fate." So again, like I said, Marissa has to hold her hand to Raph's mouth so that the blood can get down into his throat. And finally, they're able to clean up all of the silver or whatever it is that has affected Raph. They're able to get it all out of his system. And so he's laying there. He's kind of in a comatose state, but he's slowly but surely getting better. This nurse comes in and she cleans his neck, and it seems like every so many days or every so often she comes in and put a new bandage on, all the way up to the point where the bandage is no longer needed. And Beth is finally, she's there. She's not leaving his bedside for nothing. Maybe to go to the bathroom, but basically she's not leaving at all. And so she's laying her head on his bed sleeping, and he touches her head, which means that he is alive, he is awake. And of course, Beth is excited by that. He's not able to right at the moment fully talk, but he is opening his eyes and he is awake. And so Beth goes outside and she tells the Brotherhood, or she has Vedas like, why are you standing there? And he says that we're taking turns protecting you as well as Raph. So we're not going to let anything happen to you. And so now she is a little bit calmer about, the nature of sadist and who he is, and he's not this complete monster that she thought. So finally, basically she starts telling everybody that he has woken up, that Raph has woken up, and she's gonna go in there with him in a few, and then she'll let them know when he wants them to come in and be able to talk to them. So then, spoiler alert, and go back to the first moment. Before that, we see where Vicious was like, "Oh, I would love to have a woman like that. You should see how she was, ready to take me and the human cop on." So, he was admiring. They're starting to like Beth even more because he saw how much of a fighter she was and can be. And they pick at Rage. They call him Hollywood, but they pick at him because he's like, yeah, I would love to have a woman like that. And they're thinking, oh, you just talking. You wouldn't know what to do with a woman like that. But he says, yeah, I guess you're right. But in the meantime, I guess I'll just deal with all the other women until I can get me a woman like that. So I thought that was a funny, funny moment for the Brotherhood to just kind of play around. And they're in a better mood now that we know that Raph has awakened. They're just giving him time to gain some strength so that they all can go in and actually, talk to him. So now Raph is trying to get him some. Funny enough, he is trying to get intimate with his wife, his Leland, but she tells him until you can actually sit up long enough, then ain't gonna be no action in the boom boom room, buddy. So calm your hormones down, sir. Which again, I thought that was funny, but of course he's expressing his love for her, and he cries a little bit because he thinks that she's disappointed in him, but she tells him, I'm not disappointed in you whatsoever. You took care of me, you saved me. I did what I could to save you. So then she finally goes out and tells the Brotherhood that Raph is ready to speak to everyone. Um, there's something that he wants to tell everyone. So then Harris comes into the room as Raph is getting ready to, make his whole announcement. And he tells, Harris tells the full story that, hey, yeah, I went to Zetas myself and he turned me down. He basically threatened to unalive me for wanting to unalive you. So this is one brother that this was all on me, Haver says. This was all on me. Zetas had nothing to do with it. And so Raph he had no choice but to apologize to Zetas because, Zetas was not in the wrong. And so then Zetas is just so nonchalant about everything. He was like, okay, move on. Like, I'm not trying to be sad about it. Okay, let's go. And so we see Zetas doesn't really have that I can't understand his sense of humor. Maybe it's because of everything that he's experienced. Maybe it's because of his scars. But his sense of humor is like funny, but not funny, but funny to him. It's like straightforward. And I'll say that. So then Ralph tells everyone, I am going to be stepping up to be king. I'm going to step into my position, and Torment is going to be the leader of the Brotherhood. And so he asked all the guys, he's like, are y'all okay with that? And Vader says it's either you, Beth, him, Wrath, or Britney Spears. I don't care. He's okay with whomever is in charge. And so then we see once he says that he is going to be, king, we also hear the moment where Wrath tells Havers that, okay, now I understand why you threatened to unalive me. It was because I was hurting your sister, so I will not unalive you now. I do forgive you. And so he bows down and he kisses the hand, or kneels, bows at the hand of Wrath. And then the other brothers bow at the hand of Wrath once they find out that Wrath is ready basically to walk into his greatness, walk into his ability to become the king. He's walking into his greatness, y'all. And so everybody is saying something. With my blood do I swear allegiance and service unto you, my rightful king. My life shall be put down before your own, and my loyalty given freely unto the last breath of my lungs and beat of my heart. All of the guys are pledging allegiance basically to Wrath. We pledge allegiance to the United States of Wrath. We promise to, do right by you, to protect you, to serve you, our king. And of course, that makes Beth a queen. But then, y'all, we see that Butch is not forgotten about. Jose goes to Butch's apartment to look for him. And in his apartment, he sees that Butch has not been there. Looks like he hasn't been there for days. And then we go to another little cabin out in the woods. And in this cabin in the woods, we see that Mr. X is still alive. So the Omega has literally giving him life back. He has literally brought him back to life. And the sole purpose of the Omega is to literally do whatever has to be done to take out Wrath. For some reason, the Omega has it for Wrath. In the comments, if you guys know why the Omega hates Wrath the way that he does, tell me. Let me know in the comments. What's the problem? I can't recall if I heard or saw any of that as I was reading the book. So let me know in the comments. Finally, we make our way back to the home, and everybody is celebrating. They're celebrating. They're happy to be there. Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. They're happy to be there. They are eating. They're just talking about, new arrangements. Ralph is asking Beth permission for the brothers to live at one of the houses that's like super big enough for everybody to live, that's owned by her father Darius. And it has down like the basement type situation where everybody can, basically be comfortable, and we could put the retractable windows. Vicious said we can put retractable windows, and you don't have to worry about the sun. We can walk around during the daytime. We don't have to worry about the light. And Beth is like, yeah, but I was also thinking maybe, and they were saying, well, if need be, if she gets tired of Wrath, she can come and stay with us. And Beth was like, well, I was just hoping, just maybe, you all could come and stay. We could all stay together. So basically, at this big old house, this big old compound, whatever it's going to be, Wrath, Beth, Fury, Vicious, Sadist, Rage, and Torment, as well as Wealthy, are going to have some brand new living arrangements. Now, Torment is saying, I don't know Wellesley, moving. She might be a little bit upset about that. She just finally got the kitchen that she wanted. And Ralph says, we can make some certain arrangements. We'll definitely make some arrangements for you as well as Wellesley, especially at the fact that you guys have a baby that's coming pretty soon. And so, of course, they invite Fritz. Who else is gonna do all the cooking and the cleaning and all the great precious meals that walks around and serves everybody these lamb chops and all these great vegetables. And at the end, this probably will only certain people, if you actually read the book or if you even saw the first episode, you will understand what this phrase or this particular moment meant, because Fritz he walks around and he hands out peaches to everybody. He's asking, do y'all want peaches? Do y'all want peaches? And Ralph and Beth laugh about it. Now, the reason why they laugh about it is because on the second, I believe it was the first or second episode, Ralph told Beth that she tasted like peaches. And so that was literally a highlighted moment for the two of them. They laugh it off. Everybody is content. Everybody is literally happy. Everybody, Zayden doesn't eat very much, but everybody else is enjoying this food that Fritz is actually walking around and passing out. And like I said, everybody's happy, but then and it goes off, and you think, oh wow, that's the end of the episode. But then it comes right back after the credits roll. And guess who we see? We see Darius. And Darius is literally in the fade. I guess the fade is in between, is like between heaven and still alive. That's their version of it. But he's in the fade. And in the fade, he sees the scribe virgin. And he asked the scribe virgin, please, scribe virgin, if there's nothing else, I just want to see my daughter Beth one more time. I just want to, be able to see her. Well, the scribe virgin, because he has never ever asked the scribe virgin for anything. He has been a strong soldier. So the scribe virgin is like, okay, I'll grant you this wish, basically. But when you return, you will have no conscious memory of your daughter Beth. You will not be who you are now, and you will be one of token fealty. And he is agreeing to it. He's okay with that. He just wants to. So I guess this means that when Darius goes back, he'll be a totally different individual. Will he know his purpose? Will he know that he's looking for Beth? He's looking to go and see Beth. Will he know this when he goes back? When he's allowed to go back? Um, and that was literally the end of the episode, you guys. She literally granted him that wish. She granted him the wish to return to the world. She basically reincarnated him. She reincarnated him. And so, again, that was the end of the episode. This episode was so freaking good. And you guys, I just want to say, I have really enjoyed talking about the Black Dagger Brotherhood. I know this is something brand new to my Ruthless audience, and I hope the Ruthless audience can catch on to this, because this is definitely a great series. It will be coming out at some point on Netflix. So if you weren't able to catch it on Passionflix, you'll definitely be able to catch it on Netflix. I think it's either August or September where it will stream on Netflix. But you guys, that is it. That is all. I hope you guys have had an amazing afternoon. For those of you that are watching in the replay, please make sure you hit that replay game. I absolutely appreciate it. I always hit that. Just say Black Dagger replay. Black Dagger replay. You're here for the Black Dagger replay. And I appreciate you guys for tapping in, tuning in, hanging out with me for a few. I absolutely appreciate it. And we're going to get up out of this thing. Y'all have an amazing rest of your weekend, okay?